lordy, lordy, lord. This is the Daily Freakout for Tuesday, the 10th of February 2026. Is it racist if I say lordy, lordy, lord? Is that me referencing gospel African American culture, and I shouldn't do that? I don't know. Comment in the comments in the chat as to whether that's racist or not. Whether I do that or not, I don't know. Being an Australian and having zero black friends, I am not aware of these things, and I don't know what to do about it in terms of learning and getting better at it. So yeah, it is strange. Completely off any of the topics that I was thinking of talking about today. Well, starting with, I don't have any black friends, and I don't have that many. Well, I don't have that many friends. I would literally class, like, I've got a handful of friends that I would class as friends. I'm not a social person. I'm very much an isolated soloist in life. And I'm not a friend, like, I don't have that many friends, and I don't hang out with people and stuff. I hang out with my dogs or spend time alone. I work in hospitality, so I spend a lot of time with people, so I sort of get my socialization and stuff in that way. And I have a very close friend from childhood, and I have a close friend who's a recent friend acquisition, depending on how you want to word it. She happens to be Taiwanese. But yeah, no, I'm very, very not multicultural in my friend circle. That said, though, I think I'm a fairly multicultural person. I was very pleased not that long ago when somebody implied, and I can't remember who it was or where it was, but somebody implied that I was fairly worldly, even though I am not a worldly person. I've barely travelled out of my local area, let alone the world. If it wasn't for the internet, I would be a very sheltered little white boy. And welcome to the Daily Freakout. Oh my god, today has been absolutely insane already. Trying to get my phone to work. For some reason, my apps were not allowing me to access my photos and things so that I could do the headlines. And that was getting very frustrating. I had to effectively just did an IT crowd and turned everything off and on again. And then it seems to have worked. And so we're doing okay now. And the really crazy thing that happened yesterday was, for some strange reason, yesterday's headlines had a spike in viewership to the point where we had 1.3 thousand views with 2 likes, and that is an absolute record for any of my stuff. And I think on one of the episodes previous, I talked about how encouragement, or at least I've been thinking a lot lately about how when you're creating something, you can't sort of rely on, you have to sort of have your own idea of, this is what I have to do in order to do it. You can't rely necessarily on friends and family giving you a pat on the back or encouraging you or anything like that. You have to be self-motivated. And so I've been very unself-motivated lately. And so it's great to get something like that or have that happen. And let's be honest, it means nothing. It really means nothing, because those views are most likely 30 seconds nut. And even though you're doing a 2-minute video, they're only watching a short amount of time and going, no, this isn't for me, and they're moving on. And I just realized that I didn't add subtitles like I wanted to on today's headlines. So that's frustrating. Anyway, this is uni year, as we spoke about last week. We're learning, we're trying to educate ourselves. But since uni year, since I decided on uni year as being the way to go, a bit has happened. It turns out I was unintentionally and accidentally driving my car unregistered, which means I got a whopping fine, which I cannot afford to pay, and so that's going to take a while. And I'm not allowed to drive my car anymore. And it happened, and it was happening. I did it. It took so long for this to become aware, or for me to become aware of it, that the Vic Roads government people have actually cancelled my registration completely, which means I would have to get it re-registered. And let's just say it's probably not going to pass a roadworthy. So currently, what we're planning, and what I'm planning and hoping and thinking of doing, is getting rid of it, the car, the most recent car, current car, whatever you want to call it, getting a van and doing van life, which was something I wanted to do anyway, which means doing this podcast that no one watches is the way, or is the thing that I'm going to try and do. So, if you have watched all 5 minutes of this podcast so far or listened, thank you so much. Please enjoy it. Please tell me what's good and bad about it, and let's move on and hopefully get this to the point of being a fun little radio show that people can enjoy on the daily and talk about interesting things that are happening and stuff, because I would like to move into a van and live down by the river, and I still need an income, and so videos and YouTube videos and content creating is going to be what I'm thinking of doing, because I've always had an interest in video editing and audio and music, and I can talk a fair bit because I'm a bit of a talker. The ADHD just goes wah, 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 and I just keep talking, and I'd like to spend more time with my dogs. I very much appreciate, speaking of which, oh, you don't want to come up? You want to come up? Okay. She came in here and got a little, oh, now she wants to, what are you doing? I don't know what, anyway, professional is what this is. Go check out Asher and the Doctor on Instagram if you want dog content. I would like, as much as I don't have a problem with working and stuff, I don't like spending all my time working and then coming home and not being able to enjoy either my house or time with my dogs. If I had like a girlfriend and friends and stuff, it'd be even more annoying. It's like, well, why am I working all the time and then not being able to do anything else to appreciate the, or to take advantage and enjoy the money that I've earned from the working? You know what I mean? And it's that work to life ratio. Like, if I earned a hell of a lot more money, then it'd probably be okay to work the hours that I work. But at the moment, it's just the balance isn't quite right. And so hopefully, I can get in the van, travel around my own country that I've never traveled around, and I can have some adventures, find some geocaches, and we can all be better off for it, because other people do that, so why can't I? Okay. Today we're going to talk about a topic that is interesting. I think I've said before that I've become, as I've gotten older, I've become more and more of a lefty and more of a passionate lefty. Especially in my 20s, I was very ignorant of the world and just sort of whatever, and moving forward without worrying about the life and what things were doing and what was going on and stuff like that. And as I've gotten older, and to be honest, quite selfishly, as things have affected me more, the cost of living crisis at the moment that it's referred to as and stuff affects me, because I remember when I was in my late 20s and I finally got my finger out and started trying to have a job and trying to work. My goal was, I want to earn $1,000 a week after tax. That was sort of the goal back then, was to try and do that. I am currently earning about $1,000 after tax a week. So in 15 years, almost 20 years, almost 20 years, but 15 years, that hasn't changed. My income hasn't changed. Now, is that my fault? Yes, it is. Absolutely. The ADHD or whatever, the way I work, it is my fault. I've jumped from hospitality to horticulture and back and forwards. It is my fault. Like, I can't, if I'd had a career as such, you look at other people that I went to school with and stuff, they've got careers, they've progressed up the chain, etc., etc. But some of us, that's not for us. Some of us don't have that, I want to progress up the chain in a business or a career. That's just not us. Some of us, the way our brains work and the way we function, that just isn't us. It just isn't the way we work. And so we effectively get, quote unquote, left behind. We suffer because of the fact that our brains aren't, or our way of life and our mentality isn't suited to this capitalist system that we're born into. And so I'm one of those people, and so I've become very much lefty. Now, I don't want handouts. I don't want, like, you're a bit simple, so you get extra things like this and stuff like that. I just want the bottom to come up a bit, if you know what I mean. I saw a while ago a definition of political systems, and it was like capitalism, everyone for themselves can earn blah blah blah. Communism, no one can earn too much. everyone gives to the general population. And then socialism was the idea, at least that was written in this little description, was everyone can earn ridiculously big wealth if they want, but no one is in poverty. That's the kind of attitude and stuff that I like the idea of, and that I would prefer or would like us to try and have. In that, if you want to be a hardworking, brilliant business person, go for it. Absolutely go for it. If you want to have an empire and all this other kind of stuff, that's great. But no one should be homeless, because some people would argue, oh, it's what we deserve and all what we don't. If you don't work hard, you don't deserve this and you don't deserve that. It's like, it's not about that. It's about the fact that we humans have got to a point where we are living in such an amazing time where things are working so amazingly and so well. Oh, pardon me. That we can easily not have any homeless people. It's easy. You look at, and I'm not talking about middle business people, like middle level millionaires effectively. I'm talking about billionaires. You don't need that much money. You could easily drop $1 billion. Like if you've got 40 billion or 30 billion or even 10 billion, you could drop $1 billion and you'd be fine. Your life would barely, if at all, change. But so many other people, their lives would change. Wouldn't it be great? Like this is talked about a hell of a lot, but if you were one of those those mega billionaires, if you want to go down in history as a good, great person, you should say, right, poverty, gone, wipe it off the thing. Hunger, gone, bang, wipe it off the thing. And then go, you know what? I just did this. It's awesome. I'm awesome. I'm going to build myself a statue of me. And then people would be like, yeah, you know what? That's fine. If you wiped out world hunger and gave us effectively world peace and things like that, world peace isn't possible, but if you wiped out, even if you just did it in one country, like we've got a certain mining billionaire magnate in this country, in Australia. If this person, she, just said, I'm going to wipe out hunger in this and poverty in this country with my money. Do you realize how awesome everyone would think she is? People would be like, Spain, you're great. You're fantastic. Look at what you've done. You've built this empire, and then you've given back to all the other people around the world, around the country, and our country's better off for it. And then everyone would say, continue to be a disgustingly rich person. Keep doing it. Go for it. Because you're also doing this other great stuff. That's how people get parks named after them. And walking trails and things like that. And it really is kind of surprising. And I've gone off topic because that's what I do. But that's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment, is that I really just, that's where my lefty politics have come from, or are coming to, where I'm just like, you know what? I don't have a problem with people wanting to be big, rich, and powerful. But you can't abuse that power and that richness, because if you own a business and you're earning money whilst you sit back and do nothing, and you just because you own it, that's not cool. You didn't earn that money. So, for instance, my landlord, are they earning money off from me? Not really. They've got an asset. They've bought an asset. That's great, and then they can, and I think it's fair to charge rent. I think if you have a house and you let someone live in that house, that person should pay some rent. That's fine. But you're not earning that money. And so it's that question of how far up do you go? Because people like myself can no longer afford to live where we're living and are looking at living in a van down by the river. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking up with my lefty politics these days. But part of my lefty politics is very much supporting the underdog, or the lower person, or the people that are being oppressed. So, for instance, when it comes to Russia and Ukraine, I support Ukraine. Because as far as I'm aware, and unless a lot of media has bullshitted me, Russia invaded Ukraine. I support the immigrants. I'm anti-ICE because American government seems to be doing some pretty terrible things using that ICE banner, and that's not cool. I'm for the lower person, the person that's just there trying to think. Now, if you're a criminal and you kill someone, you murder someone, you hurt someone, you do something bad, then you should absolutely be arrested and deported if that's the case. But if you look at, as far as I'm aware, if you look at the statistics in the United States, they were doing that already. They were kicking out the criminals and the illegals that do bad. But then there's the illegals that do good and that just do the right thing. And then there's the other people who are legal and still get treated like absolute crap because of this system that they've got going, which is a fairly just terrible and stupid system. And the motivations behind it are still not official, and we don't know. And we may never know until 50 years from now when someone writes a book on all this kind of stuff. Because it doesn't seem like their motivations are what they say their motivations are. But anyway, one of the things that I believe in, or the side that I go for instance, I'm on the Irish side when it comes to Ireland and England. I'm on the Caledonian sides when it comes to French Caledonia, or whatever. I think that's French Caledonia. I think I'm right there. But you get what I'm saying. I'm on the Aboriginal side when it comes to the invasion of Australia, because white man came in here and invaded and just killed. And I don't necessarily... I do somewhat agree that the white man came here and conquered them. Absolutely they did. And that's a human thing. We've been doing that. Genghis Khan did it. Alexander the Great did it. Hitler tried to do it. Napoleon did it. It's a very common thing for humans, mostly men, to invade other places and kill off native populations and all that kind of stuff. Does it mean we ignore it? No. It was terrible what they did, and it's still terrible when it's done. And one of those things, or an example of that happening, is in Israel. It is happening where that government, who was given that land that they should kind of not have been given in the first place, like there's an argument there, as a, hey, terrible things happened to you in World War II, here's some kind of reparation, let's try to make things right. And then they've just taken it and run with it. It seems to me, again, I'm no expert, but it seems to me that the old phrase, give an inch, take a mile, or give a centimetre, take a kilometre, is what's going on here. You've been given some land, and then you've said, right, now we want more. We want more. And being an anti-religion person, to me it looks more, again, like it's religion on religion crime. It's just, you're different because you believe in something different to me, and the idea that some people are righteous and are the chosen people, when, I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me. There is no chosen people. There is no God, and there is no chosen. God has not chosen any of you. So, it's very, very interesting that these things are happening and going all around the world. And the thing that I find very interesting is that here in Australia, we're apparently not allowed, it seems, to voice our disgust when a certain person comes to our country. So, New South Wales Police defends officers' actions in violent clash with Sydney protesters rallying against Israel President Isaac Herzog's visit. This is something that I don't know if I'm... So I've got a new... There it is. And then I need to lean this way so that you can still see me. I'm trying to work out how this software works, and I've finally got it so that I can have some picture-in-picture. Not that anyone's watching this, of course. But anyway, some of the footage is terrible. I sort of understand from a government and police point of view that you want to have good relationships with different countries, and so you invite somebody over when something terrible like the Bondi Massacre happens, and you want to try and think. But the people that they've brought over it's very questionable, because the question I have is, why did it happen? Why did the Bondi massacre happen? Well, it happened because a Muslim extremist decided to kill other people. Again, religion on religion crime. Killed innocent people who were just having a nice time. As much as I'm anti-religion, I'm not anti peaceful religion. The Sikhs are fantastic because they keep to themselves and then they feed people when they can. Catholicism is terrible because they rape children. Israel is questionable because it is destroying Palestine under the guise of righteousness. And Jewish people in Australia who just want to go to the park and celebrate a day of living in the park, or of eating, and I can't even remember what they were celebrating, and that's sort of beside the point, because whatever they were doing was fine. That's fine. Go do it. I don't care. If you want to support or practice your religion, I'm going to tell you I think your religion's silly, but go and do it. If you're just going to sit at the park and have a nice day at the park, then that's great. It's fantastic. Do it. That's what Australia's about. That's what most first world free countries should be about. If you want to then go shoot up some people who are doing that, that's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. It's religious extremism. It's terrorism. It's terrible. But why did it happen? And my only assumption, again, I want to know, I want to be more educated, so I want to hear from people if you're watching this far into the show. Why did it happen? To me, I assume it happened because of the way Israel is treating Muslims in Palestine. The Muslims in Palestine are spreading the news, the suffering that they're having, and then Muslims in other parts of the world are saying, "Hey, Israel, Jews, let's go kill Jews." And to me, it kind of makes sense that you would have that mentality. It's wrong. It's definitely wrong. But it kind of makes sense that you would think, because of the religious extremism of both sides, where we assume that all Israelites and all Jews are the same, and all Muslims in Palestine and all Muslims in other places are the same, when they're not. They're different people. They're different groups. These kind of things happen. And the part that gets me very worried, or very raises my eye, is that some of the footage coming from this protest is very, very worrying, because people who are just trying to protest are getting aggressively attacked. The police response looked like it was way too much. There's footage of the police literally just charging at the protesters who were just standing there. Now, I like to always try and have both sides in an argument. The protesters were probably doing some stuff to antagonize the cops. Let's not be stupid about this. They probably were. They had said, "Do not protest. We will not allow it." So what can they do if they say that and then they don't do something about it? So you sort of expect them to do something about it. But it is still very worrying that the president from a country with questionable actions at the moment, like Netanyahu didn't come because he was probably, that's even worse. Like, he would have been, he has the potential to be arrested, internationally arrested, if he comes to our country. Don't think that would happen, but maybe it would. The protests would be huge if he came. So the president came instead. And it's from a country that's very, very questionable. Where do you draw the line? Do you allow a president from another country to come here and to be here and to promote his country's actions and attitudes, which some might say is the cause for the death at Bondi? Some might say that if it wasn't for people like President Isaac Herzog, the Bondi massacre wouldn't have happened. Some. I'm not sure. Again, these kind of crazy things that happen in the world, I wonder whether we ever truly know what was going on and what happened. And so it's just I think it's a very interesting talking point these days at the moment that we should be aware of, and we should talk about, and we should look into, and we should have as a discussion point, because as an outsider that doesn't believe in any of these gods, the Muslim god, the Jewish god, anything, I couldn't see myself as a Zionist trying to push the borders and create the thing. I couldn't see it as myself as a Palestinian trying to live in Palestine. And I don't know what the answer is, because humans have been fighting in that area for thousands of years. Humans have been fighting in these kind of wars, insurgent wars and things like that, for hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years maybe, even. Maybe our monkey ancestors fought like this. I know it's a movie, but 2001, they fight over a... What was that? Was it a dog? In 2001, the monkeys fight over a watering hole. Is that all? Is that what we're still doing? Are we just fighting over watering holes? It was a dog. There's a dog coming out of the thing. You all right? Do you want to come up? No, you don't want to come up either. Anyway, I do have dogs. They're there. You just can't see them. But anyway, it's something I don't have the answers for, but as a dirty lefty, I don't like fascist actions by governments and denying protest and then actively, aggressively trying to fight and push back on the protests in that kind of way is pretty terrible. That being said, though, I think it's quite often that protesting people get a sense of righteousness in themselves and push the borders and push the limits a bit too much. Where do you draw the line? Where do you stand? How can you how can we make an informed decision either way on these kind of topics? It's very, very difficult, and I have absolutely no answers. Something that I want to start doing and on this podcast, instead of talking about politics like this so much, is book reviews, record reviews, all that kind of stuff. Today's book review recommendation is Surprise, Vanish, Kill by Annie Jacobson. It is about the CIA. I am not finished it yet. Where's my... Oh, I'm actually not as far through it. I thought I was almost at the end, but I've got a little bit more to go. Fantastic, really interesting book. I really recommend it. I don't know how this got published because it doesn't put the CIA in a good light. A lot of failure on their part. Obviously, they probably don't talk about their successes very much because they don't want you to know. But a lot of failure and a lot of very questionable actions. And it does make you realise that us plebs down the bottom really have no idea what's going on. I think that's the same with all the Epstein stuff as well. We just don't know what's going on. These powerful people with all their money are all talking to each other, and they've got their own little private armies, and it's just like Game of Thrones, which was based on reality, even though it's fiction. It's just like ancient Rome, where they all had private armies. It's the same as I said before. It's the human nature of infiltrating and invading and all that kind of stuff, other countries and what have you, and killing people. And it'd be really nice if we could live without these kind of overpowerful rulers and stuff like that. Hence why I am a philosophical anarchist. Unfortunately, I live in a very much a capitalist world, and I have to focus on that. Speaking of which, please like and subscribe so that I can continue to do different things online as I slowly and hopefully by the end of the year transition into van life. It would be very appreciated if you could like, subscribe, tell your friends, all that kind of stuff. Now, the sampler ran out of power a minute ago. Let's see if we can get it up again so that we can play the theme song. It looks like we can. Thank you very much. This is the Daily Freakout for Tuesday, the 10th of February, 2026. Might see you tomorrow, might not. Might see you next week. Thank you very much. Like, subscribe, share, all that kind of stuff. Tell me what I did wrong. Tell me what I did right. Let's get the discussion happening. Bye-bye.